It's 1923, in the middle of Mongolia's Gobi Desert. A caravan of Dodge motor cars kicks up clouds of sand. One man leans into the wind, a wide-brimmed hat shielding his eyes. This is no movie scene, it's real life. The man is Roy Chapman Andrews, an American explorer, adventurer, and naturalist. He's not hunting gold or treasure, he's on a mission for fossils. And what he finds in this barren landscape will change science forever. On July 13th, 1923, his team becomes the first to discover fossilized dinosaur eggs, finally proving what scientists had only guessed until then, that dinosaurs laid eggs. This is the story of that groundbreaking discovery and the legendary man behind it. With revolvers strapped to their sides, maps in hand, and scientific curiosity burning in their hearts, Andrews and his team crossed some of the harshest terrain on Earth. This video takes you through their real-life adventure filled with sandstorms, fossils, and danger at every turn. From the golden era of exploration to a moment that rewrote prehistoric history, this isn't just a tale of science, it's a story of grit, vision, and timeless courage that still echoes across the desert sands today. Roy Chapman Andrews was born in 1884 in the small town of Beloit, Wisconsin. From a young age, he had a fascination with the outdoors. He taught himself taxidermy and spent countless hours exploring forests and rivers. After graduating from Beloit College, he set his sights on New York's American Museum of Natural History. Without a formal degree in paleontology, he still managed to get a job not as a scientist, but as a janitor. He swept floors just to be near the fossils. But his intelligence and drive quickly earned him a place on expeditions. Andrews believed he was born to explore. Once writing, "I was born to be an explorer. There was never any decision to make. I couldn't do anything else and be happy." This mindset would lead him around the world, from Arctic whaling ships to Tibetan plateaus. But it was the vast and dangerous deserts of Mongolia that would cement his legacy. By the 1920s, Andrews had become a leading figure at the museum. With his fearless spirit, rugged charm, and keen mind, he embodied everything Americans admired. He wasn't just a scientist, he was a swashbuckler with a mission to uncover Earth's ancient secrets. At the time, few Westerners had dared to venture into the Gobi Desert. Political unrest, bandits, and brutal weather made it one of the most hostile regions in the world. But for Roy Chapman Andrews, danger was a challenge, not a deterrent. In 1922, backed by the American Museum of Natural History, he organized the Central Asiatic Expeditions, a multi-year scientific mission to explore the fossil-rich badlands of Mongolia. The team included scientists, drivers, mechanics, and local guides. Instead of traveling on camels, Andrews made the bold choice to use motor vehicles, Dodge cars, modified for desert travel. They carried supplies, rifles, film equipment, and scientific gear, journeying across landscapes where roads didn't exist. The convoy crossed desolate plains, deep ravines, and mountainous dunes. Along the way, the team mapped unknown areas, collected data, and documented every major geological formation they encountered. Each evening, Andrews would write in his journal by lantern light, recording their trials and triumphs. In an era before satellite maps or GPS, this was raw exploration. They faced storms, navigated political borders, and made historic scientific discoveries, all while surviving in a land where one wrong turn could mean death. The Gobi wasn't just a desert, it was a test of will. On a scorching July afternoon, Andrews' team was digging at a site now called the Flaming Cliffs, named for their fiery red rock. One member of the team, George Olson, uncovered a group of oval-shaped objects. At first, they they seemed like oddly shaped stones. But as they gently brushed away sand and sediment, the team realized these weren't just rocks. They were eggs, fossilized eggs. This was the first time in history that humans had discovered direct evidence that dinosaurs laid eggs. Before this moment, the reproductive habits of dinosaurs had been pure speculation. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The eggs were originally believed to belong to Protoceratops, a small horned dinosaur. But decades later, scientists realized the site was also home to oviraptor skeletons. Ironically, oviraptor, once thought to be an egg thief, was likely guarding its own nest. This correction only added to the site's historical value. Andrews called it one of the most important finds of his career. It wasn't just about the eggs. It was about proof, solid, undeniable proof that deep in Earth's past, creatures ruled the land, laid eggs, and built nests, just as birds do today. The Flaming Cliffs proved to be a treasure trove of prehistoric remains. Andrews and his team uncovered dozens of fossils, Protoceratops, Velociraptor, Psittacosaurus, and ancient mammals. These weren't isolated skeletons. They were entire communities preserved in the sands of time. One of the most exciting finds was the skeleton of a velociraptor with a curved killing claw still intact. Though smaller than the Hollywood version, this predator had all the hallmarks of a deadly hunter. The team also discovered fossil mammals that coexisted with dinosaurs, challenging the belief that mammals were insignificant during the Mesozoic era. Each fossil helped build a clearer picture of ancient ecosystems. Andrews' team photographed and cataloged each specimen with precision. Some of these images are still used in textbooks today. Transporting the fossils back to the USA was an ordeal. The team had to carefully pack bones in plaster jackets, load them into cars, and drive across hundreds of miles of desert to ship them by rail. But it was worth it. These specimens would go on to educate generations and sit proudly in museum halls. What Andrews and his team accomplished was more than an expedition. It was a rewriting of Earth's natural history. Exploring the Gobi wasn't just a scientific endeavor, it was a battle for survival. The region was plagued by bandits who targeted foreign expeditions. Andrews and his team traveled with rifles and revolvers, often assigning night watches to protect their camp. On more than one occasion, the expedition faced direct threats. In one dramatic encounter, they were chased by armed horsemen and had to speed their vehicles across the desert to escape. Nature, too, was unforgiving. Sandstorms would appear out of nowhere, burying camps in minutes and blinding entire caravans. Intense heat, cracked tires, overheated engines, and pushed team members to the brink of exhaustion. Camels sometimes had to haul broken vehicles through shifting dunes. Andrews once described the experience as camping at the edge of the world, where even the wind tried to kill you. Supplies were limited, and every gallon of water was precious. Yet, despite these hardships, morale remained high. Andrews inspired his team with humor, resilience, and unwavering focus. These weren't just scientists, they were survivalists. And every fossil recovered was proof that their courage and perseverance were being rewarded. The Gobi took much from them, but it gave back history. By the time Andrews returned to America, he was a national hero. His reports and photographs appeared in newspapers across the country. In 1923, he was featured on the cover of Time magazine, one of the first scientists ever to earn that honor. He gave public lectures to packed halls, captivating audiences with tales of ancient eggs, fossilized dragons, and desert escapes. His books, like The New Conquest of Central Asia, became bestsellers. Eventually, he was appointed director of the American Museum of Natural History. But Andrews' fame wasn't just about fossils, it was about image. With his leather bala boots, sun-scorched face, and signature fedora, he looked like a movie character. And indeed, many believe he inspired Indiana Jones, though George Lucas never confirmed it. The parallels are striking: both adventurers, both scholars, both rugged heroes. For many older viewers who grew up watching the Indiana Jones films, discovering Andrews is like finding the real-life version, only grittier, smarter, and even more daring. He didn't just act the part, he lived it. And in doing so, he helped elevate paleontology from dusty academia to high-stakes adventure in the eyes of the world. The impact of Andrews's discoveries stretched far beyond his own lifetime. His fossil finds helped define modern paleontology. The confirmation that dinosaurs laid eggs opened up new research fields like reproductive biology and nesting behavior. Later expeditions, often retracing Andrews' roots, found more evidence: fossils of oviraptors brooding over nests, embryos inside eggs, and even eggshell microstructures. His methodology, mixing careful science with bold fieldwork, influenced generations of scientists. Many of the techniques Andrews pioneered are still used today. Museums worldwide owe part of their collections and public interest to his daring efforts. Beyond academia, he inspired countless young people to study science and explore nature. Today, the name Roy Chapman Andrews still commands respect. His archives are studied, his field notes quoted, and his photos displayed in exhibits from New York to Beijing. In many ways, he built a bridge between scientific rigor and public imagination. Without him, dinosaurs might still be confined to textbooks. Because of him, they roared back into popular culture. His legacy is not just the bones he found, but the excitement he stirred in hearts around the world. Andrews's expeditions were a perfect reflection of the 1920s spirit: bold, restless, and full of wonder. It was a decade of aviation, jazz, and global curiosity. Andrews embodied it all. His Dodge motor cars tearing across sand dunes, his maps dotted with hand-drawn trails, and his team battling both nature and time felt like scenes from a silent film. The photographs from his expeditions show a world where science meant mud, sweat, and danger. Scientists back then weren't just theorists, they were adventurers. Andrews's journals recount days without water, nights filled with howling winds, and moments of sheer awe at the bones of ancient giants. For older audiences today, these images rekindle a time when discovery felt personal, not digital. When explorers didn't need screens, they needed guts. His story reminds us of a world where the unknown still existed, where deserts held secrets, and where one man with vision could still change the map. The spirit of the 1920s wasn't just captured in flappers and jazz, it was alive in the fossils dug from red sands and the dreams of men like Andrews. Roy Chapman. Andrews died in 1960, but his influence lives on. In today's high-tech world, where satellites scan every inch of the Earth, it's easy to forget the raw courage it took to explore the unknown a century ago. Andrews didn't have drones or GPS. He had maps, instincts, and a fierce love for science. His discovery of dinosaur eggs in 1923 wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a cultural one. It reminded the world that truth can be stranger and more thrilling than fiction. For audiences over 40, Andrews is a bridge between memory and history, between the thrill of childhood adventure movies and the real heroes who inspired them. Learning about him brings back that sense of wonder when deserts could hold dragons and museums were portals to the past. Roy Chapman Andrews was not just a scientist. He was a pioneer, a protector of history, and a storyteller. Written in stillness, his life reminds us that the world still holds secrets, and all it takes is one person brave enough to search for them.